The LMC casts a wide net over the Sound Shore to bring you local event info, profiles, and conversations. Recorded in the heart of the village in Mamaroneck Cinemas at the studio on the Avenue, LMC Media brings you the LMC Cast Community Profiles.
Hello and welcome to the LMC Cast, coming from the studio on the Avenue right here in Mamaroneck. My name is Jason Summers and I'll be today's host. And today I am sitting with Sheba Mason, who is bringing a hilarious and heartwarming show, the Jackie Mason musical, right here to Westchester. Sheba, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's wonderful to meet you, and this story is fantastic. The fact that you have been touring this show for so long, and it's finally coming here to Westchester. But before we get to all of that, tell us a little bit about the show itself, the Jackie Mason musical.
Well, it's written by my mother, who's a playwright. She also wrote other shows. I just want people to know that so that they don't think it's only about Jackie Mason. But she did have a 10-year, very intense whirlwind romance with, legendary comedian Jackie Mason, which resulted in the birth of me. And so it's a musical comedy with a cast of 8, and it's all about that aspect of his life. So it's really like from her perspective, but it also includes things like why, whether or not he gave Ed Sullivan the finger, that's a famous story.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And you find out, really he didn't, but there's like it explains that. So it does sort of explain his career, and it takes you through that 10 years that's a 10-year period of his life. And there's songs in it like Ode to the Early Bird Special, and I Never Met This Yenta, and it's they go from coffee shop to coffee shop, and it's really it's funny, and a lot of people can relate to it, I think.
That's really fantastic. And the really cool thing is that you are in the show and you play your mother. Is that right?
Psychologists have a field day with that. And there's a scene where, she has to get pregnant, so
Right.
You see that I'm pregnant with myself, and it's just like really funny.
Now, how did this all come about? How was the idea born to turn this into a musical? Obviously, this is something that your mother lived, and of course now you're living. Where did the idea come from?
Well, my mother was just, a girl from Long Island and New Jersey, and she moved to Florida with her mother. They were there for only 3 days. And on the 3rd day, they went to Wolfie's Delicatessen. And that's when she met Jackie Mason. And the play shows how they met and stuff like that. He sent his friend Wooly over to the table. And he said, "You want to meet Jackie Mason?" And her mother was a very dominating, overbearing Jewish, mother. She goes, "Of course she does, certainly." And my mother was very reluctant to go out with him because he was a lot older. She really didn't know who he was. He was my grandmother's favorite comedian, but like my mother was just, she was in her 20s. She didn't know. And she was very reluctant. And then she ended up going out with him. And like within an hour, she said it took the first hour to get past all of her reservations about him. And she fell in love with him because he was so charming. And he was just so different from anyone she ever knew or dated, and he was just so captivating and so different that as a writer, she couldn't help but, take to the pen. And so she started writing like my 3 seasons with Jackie Mason. That was only when she saw him the first 3 years.
Okay.
And it was 3 seasons because he would come every winter season to Florida. And it started out, very casual and not that often. And, he was known to be a tomcat.
Okay.
And so she had to get past that too. And so she just she always describes it as like being Alice in Wonderland, where it's just like all this stuff is going on around her and his entourage and the people and these things. And, so she just couldn't help but write about it. So she wrote a very early incarnation of this play, which only had 1 song, Today, Tomorrow, or Next Year, which is now still in the play. And then she just kept writing more. And then as the relationship developed, he actually even presented the play at a synagogue in Miami. And it's on the website where he goes, it's really cute. He goes, I can't imagine why somebody would want to write a play about me. I'm just a schmuck. And he's like, this Yenta seems to want to write a play about me. So here it is. Here's the play. And he actually presented the play. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So he kind of he blessed this in his own way. That's
Back then, yeah.
Back then.
Yeah.
That's great. And you've been touring this for a long time.
Yeah, so it started, way back then, even before I was born. And then it continued on. There were breaks, of course, in between. But
Sure.
Really, it's been touring hardcore for the last 10 years. It was off Broadway for a little bit. And, it's gone through a lot of revisions. And some people say a play is never perfect. Ken Davenport says that. I'm sure you know who he's.
Yes.
And a play might never be perfect. Is Cabaret perfect? Probably. That's one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, it's as close to perfect as it gets.
Exactly.
Yes.
Fiddler on the Roof, probably
Sure.
perfect. But so it's gone through a lot of revisions, and I would say it's after revision and revision and revision. And one thing about us is, and my mother is, like, we're totally open to suggestions and changes, and sometimes an actor will have an idea and we'll incorporate it. And I think it's a pretty well-oiled machine now. It's succinct, it's fun, and it's also heartfelt.
That's really wonderful. And what are people in for when they come to see this show? Is it a 2-hour laugh fest? Are they going to cry a little bit? What are they in for emotionally?
Well, it's both. Not to give a spoiler alert, but basically, like, the whole first act is their romance, and it's fun, and it's basically pretty nice. And then the second act changes and it starts to get a little real, but the guy who plays Jackie Mason is adorable, so we've gotten messages from the other side that Jackie is very happy about the play, actually, posthumously,
right?
Because we portray him as really the most adorable. I mean, he's really cute in the play. You can understand why she fell in love with him, and we don't really reveal too much about the ending, the real life ending.
Right. Got to keep it musical comedy
Exactly.
a little bit, right?
And it ends on an upbeat note.
That's great.
So
that's great.
But you do run the gamut of emotions, which I think you want to do.
Absolutely.
We're not here to go to Disney World.
That's right. So tell us the details. Where is it playing in Westchester? When, and how can we get tickets?
Well, it's going to be at the Irvington Theater on April 19th and 20th. The Saturday night is 7:30. Sunday is 5 o'clock, and it's Easter, so the Jews got to come out.
That's right.
And you can get tickets at thejackiemason.musical.com.
That's wonderful. Sheba, it's been so nice speaking with you. Thank you so much for being here with us. It sounds like an absolutely delightful show. Being a theater person myself, I am totally intrigued, and I wish you the best of luck with the run. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching.
The LMC casts a wide net over the Sound Shore to bring you local event info, profiles, and conversations. Recorded in the heart of the village in Mamaroneck Cinemas at the studio on the Avenue, LMC Media brings you the LMC Cast Community Profiles.